Live and streaming from CBS News, New York. This is CBS2 News This Morning.
Two developing stories this morning in Queens. A potential suspect caught on camera in the sexual assault of a teenager. We are live at the park where it happened.
And the votes are in. 2 million New Yorkers now required to pay more on their rent-stabilized apartments. How the community is responding to that decision.
Plus, temperatures starting to climb. The city preparing for the heat wave heading our way. What you need to know to stay cool.
Good morning on this Tuesday, June 18th. I'm Chris Raggi.
I'm Mary Calvi. Welcome to CBS2 News This Morning. And let's get right over to your first alert forecast. And the heat is on. John.
Yeah, it's going to be expensive too. It's going to cost more to keep yourself cool. You got to be smart. Want to make sure you don't end up sick and in need of medical care, because that's a cost too. So let's just pace ourselves. We just dipped a degree, usually do, 71, wind out of the southwest at 8 miles an hour. So coming and going, I mean, there's no real rain to deal with. It's just going to be a hot trip home in the city, 88. Later this hour, we're going to talk about the real threat of the way the energy works in your car. Don't leave anything in the car because it's just going to really heat up. Excessive heat watch for much of New Jersey, heat advisory. The exception being coastal areas. Don't forget, though, that moderate rip current risk. Look how much cooler it's going to be for the south-facing beaches. It's quiet now. We do have a possibility of a pop-up storm north and west later today. Other than that, it's all about the heat, and that's what we're going to be talking about with your full forecast coming up in a bit. Right now, though, we're going to send things back to Mary.
And John, local leaders are taking steps to prepare for the heat wave. Cooling centers will be open starting this morning. Con Ed says crews are ready to respond to any service interruptions, but recommends using appliances such as dishwashers at night to prevent overtaxing the grid. Experts suggest avoiding outdoor activity during peak heat from noon until 8 p.m.
For a list of the cooling centers and other resources on how to beat the heat, as well as your updated forecast, just go to cbsnewyork.com.
Now to a developing story. There were protests and arrests last night as the city's rent guidelines board voted to approve increases for about 1 million rent-stabilized apartments.
Those rent hikes will take effect for new leases starting in October. CBS 2's Elijah Westbrook live on the Upper East Side this morning. Elijah.
Well, Chris and Mary, I think it's safe to say there were many tenants who were not thrilled at the fact that their rents will be increasing this October. In fact, the NYPD said that they arrested about 10 individuals who were protesting right outside Hunter College, in fact, blocking the entranceway when that vote came down, obviously not in their favor. And you're seeing some of that activity taking place on your screen now. The board voted 5-4 for a hike of 2.75% for stabilized apartments with one-year leases and a 5.2% hike on two-year leases. Now, the increases will affect stabilized leases that begin on or after October 1st. The decision impacts roughly 1 million rent-stabilized apartments throughout the city and around 2 million New Yorkers, leaving some residents unsure how they'll keep up with rent and daily expenses.
What this rent hike means for me now is going to the supermarket and pick up 5 things, and when I get to the counter, I might have to put back 2.
Every year the rent goes up and none of the repairs are done.
Now, in a statement, Mayor Eric Adams said in part, quote, "We are grateful for the board's careful consideration of the data and their decision to limit increases this year. As we have said from day one, the only way to ultimately lower rates is to build more housing," end quote. Well, later on in the show, and specifically coming up at 5:30, you will hear from some of the landlords who are saying that the increases are necessary to keep up with their basic operating costs. That is the latest at this time. From the Upper East Side, Elijah Westbrook, CBS 2 News.
Elijah, thank you. This morning, police are looking for a gunman after 3 men were shot and wounded in the Bronx. Chopper 2 was over the scene at East 221st Street and Bronxwood Avenue in Williamsbridge. Police say at about 6 p.m. the suspect shot towards the victims, who were in their 20s and 30s, then took off in a black SUV. 2 of the victims were taken to the hospital. The other took himself to the hospital. All are in stable condition. Police are now trying to determine the motive.
Well, we're getting our first look at the man police say sexually assaulted a young girl in a Queens park.
The NYPD says he has been captured on video. CBS 2's Christina Fan joins us live from the scene in Casino Park with a look at that video. Christina.
Well, Mary and Chris, the day after the sexual assault was reported, the NYPD held a news conference in this very area, vowing to spare no expense in getting justice for the young survivor. For the last few days, detectives have been scouring this neighborhood and the streets looking for surveillance video and finally managed to uncover these images. You can see them here on your screen. The suspect seen biking down a sidewalk in the vicinity of the attack. Detectives say Thursday afternoon the suspect forced a 13-year-old girl and her classmate, a 13-year-old boy, into a wooded area of Casino Park and tied their wrists together with a shoelace before sexually assaulting the girl. He then took their cell phones and left behind the shoelace and a water bottle that forensic teams are still analyzing. Community leaders gathered in the park last night calling for more police presence and cameras in the area, while officers handed out flyers in different languages with new images, hoping that a tip will lead to an arrest. We know there is a $10,000 reward being offered for information, and CBS2 has also learned that cameras will be going up in and around the park. It's just unclear at this time exactly when that will happen. Reporting live from Flushing, Queens, Christina Fan, CBS 2 News.
Christina, thank you. An update this morning on a shooting that killed 2 people in Manhattan's Inwood section. Surveillance video from Sunday night shows a man firing a gun outside the Blue Sky convenience store on 207th Street and 10th Avenue. A 44-year-old man was shot in the face and a 40-year-old was shot in the chest. Both died. They are now identified as Michael James and Alejandro Ramirez, both of the Bronx. Another man, believed to be an innocent bystander, was wounded in the leg. No word on a motive for the shooting. The gunman remains at large.
A power broker in Democratic politics in New Jersey now facing racketeering charges. George Norcross, the man with the silver hair, sitting in the front row right of your screen, attended a press conference when New Jersey's Attorney General revealed the charges. According to the indictment, Norcross and his associates used their influence to get property in Camden and collect millions of dollars in tax credits over the last 12 years.
And with the cooperation of former mayor of Camden, Dana Red, they co-opted the Camden city government to aid the Norcross enterprise in obtaining property and property rights along the Camden waterfront through coercion, extortion, and other criminal acts.
Norcross is a former member of the Democratic National Committee and former head of the Camden County Democratic Party.
A well-known Brooklyn pastor will spend nearly a decade in prison after being convicted of fraud. You may remember Bishop Lamar Whitehead was robbed at gunpoint during his Sunday service 2 years ago. Back in March, he was convicted for wire fraud, extortion, and more. A federal judge sentenced him to 9 years in prison. Prosecutors say the fraud included stealing thousands of dollars from parishioners and using the money to buy luxury goods.
Well, happening today, a major announcement expected on immigration from President Biden. Senior administration officials tell CBS 2 News the president will announce a large-scale immigration relief program offering legal status to 500,000 immigrant spouses of U.S. citizens. The new policy will allow these immigrants to apply for temporary work permits and deportation protections if they have lived in the U.S. for at least 10 years and meet other eligibility requirements.
5:07 right now. Coming up, accusations of lying to customers, a new federal lawsuit against a popular software company.
And a series of moped robberies in the Bronx. The shocking video showing a suspect wanted in connection to these thefts.
That's the way every day goes. Every time we've no control. If the sky is pink and white, if the ground is black and yellow, it's the same way.
Take Frank's advice, head to the ocean. Next couple of days, it is going to be hot, hot, hot. Hey, a little pink and white by Frank Ocean as we welcome you back on this Tuesday morning, June 18th. Let's send it over to John Elliott with your first alert forecast. Hi, Johnny.
I concur. Go to the ocean and take a buddy. Moderate rip current risk. Want to make sure you're safe.
But,
oh, that is going to be refreshing. Talk about pink and white. What a delight as reflected in the outline of the water around the area we live. Now let's get scientific. 71 degrees, but dew points are up a bit. Dew points right now in the mid-60s. So that is humid air. In fact, if you look at the dew point guide, mid-60s uncomfortable. We'll likely see dew points closer to 70. So not impressive, oppressive. This is where it gets really hard for your body to process the heat. You know, if somebody is excessively sweating and they haven't been working out, that could be a sign of heat stroke. So you want to cut these things off before they get to be a crisis. Now, even today, the heat wave will continue for parts of Bergen over into, let's see, West Essex, Passaic County. Look at 93 in Edison. So it's already going to be day 2 of 90 plus. And when you factor in those dew points, it's going to feel like 90 in the city. No, I tell you, Nassau, Suffolk, you've got a break. It's a nice pre-summer day as we say goodbye to the spring season, but you really have to pace yourself. In the city, it's going to start to feel like the 90s today. Peak heat still on Friday, but there's no big break Saturday. It's still going to be a hot weekend. Air quality starting to suffer. We're going to see this, I think, day after day. There's no mechanism to clean out the atmosphere. So sensitive groups, the young, the old, or anybody with any kind of respiratory issues, you want to limit your time outside. Now, I know there's a lot of data here. Heat-related deaths are preventable. Want to thank our friends from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. Just a real quick reminder, if it's 80 outside, within 20 minutes, it feels like 109 inside the car. It's going to be 90 outside, so it's going to feel like 109 in 10 minutes. Please, get everything out of the car. Kids, pets, and anything, you know, sensitive electronic equipment. I mean, you can fry it. By the way, you leave your phone on the dash, forget about it. You'll get the sign, too hot, too hot, too hot. You can fry stuff. So let's just be smart. Just be smart. It's a hotter story today. Hazy, hot, and humid. And then tomorrow, city probably hits 90. And even if the city, maybe the park doesn't hit it, you probably will in the Bronx, and you definitely will in Bergen County, Hudson Union too. So it's even hotter tomorrow. And then, yeah, just more of the same. Heat's on. Notice these showers and storms trying to flirt with the area. Yeah, I have to leave them in there because dew points are high enough. As far as an organized front, that can't break through because it is a heat dome. But each and every day, possibility of a stray shower. It's about your health and safety, though. Next few days, Friday, a slightly better chance of an afternoon storm. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Look at how unsettled it is. We're still percolating and popping with the upper 80s into the first part of next week as well.
How about that?
I
Yeah,
know.
so 90s not today.
Probably not in the city, but by me out in West Essex, we'll hit it. Yeah,
It's going to feel like it.
Yeah.
So, all right, John, thank you so much. Now for checking your first alert traffic, let's get over to Guy Stanier with more. Hey, Guy.
Good morning, Chris. We're going to start in Brooklyn. A crash has one lane blocked on the northbound side of the BQE, right near Atlantic Avenue. Delays are back onto the Gowanus Expressway. In Palisades Park, New Jersey, emergency construction involving a sinkhole has 2 lanes closed on the westbound side of Route 46 between Grand Avenue and the Turnpike. We have some subway issues in Manhattan. The E train is running with delays in both directions due to a switch malfunction right near Spring Street. Alternate side parking is suspended today for Eid al-Adha, but you still have to pay the meters. Mary, back to you.
Guy, thank you. A Brooklyn man is set to undergo surgery today after being shot in a Brownsville park over the weekend. 61-year-old Kevin Alford is now sharing his story from his hospital bed. He was in Livonia Park Saturday night with his grandkids when he says 2 men walked past him and gunfire erupted. Alford was hit in the leg. He's now speaking out against the recent rise in gun violence in his town of Brownsville.
I hate it. I hate it because innocent people getting shot for no reason. These kids out here having guns and don't know who they're shooting at.
Police say a 71-year-old woman was also hit in the stomach and hip and is expected to recover. So far, no arrests in this case.
Well, a Yonkers police sergeant is charged with assault after a violent arrest. Yonkers PD released video from the March 14th incident, and we warn you it may be disturbing to watch. The body camera video shows officers attempting to arrest a man accused of leading police on a chase in a stolen car. Detective Sergeant Hector Cartagena can be seen repeatedly kicking and punching the suspect in the face. He is suspended without pay and now facing criminal charges. The Yonkers Police Commissioner and Mayor are condemning the sergeant's actions. The police union is blasting their response, calling it a rush to judgment.
Police are now trying to track down a thief on a moped who's wanted for a series of robberies in the Bronx. The NYPD says the suspect has struck at least 4 times in Bedford Park and Soundview since June 2nd. The robber allegedly targets women, with the victims' ages ranging from 22 to 41. They say the suspect typically rolls up on a moped and forcibly snatches a cell phone from the victim's hands.
Well, multiple puppies are safe this morning after being stuffed in a hot bag. We're now hearing from the NYPD officers who saved the young lives. The rescue was caught on police body camera video in Far Rockaway, Queens. You can see an officer opening a bag and a snout sticking out. One by one, officers grabbed them. Police say on Saturday, an officer saw a woman selling a pit bull on Beach Channel Drive. He then noticed she had a bag and that the bag was moving. Turns out there were 5 others inside.
It was a sign of life. Once I saw that, I knew that we can't let her cross the street or get out of our sight.
There was a 5th one completely at the bottom of the bag, unconscious. I pulled that one out. I opened up its eyes, and that's when it became back to life.
We saved 6 lives, 6 beautiful lives.
The puppies are now in the care of the ASPCA, but some officers plan on adopting them. The 44-year-old woman who was selling them now faces multiple charges.
What a story there. On your Money Watch, futures, they're trending higher this morning as investors await reports on retail sales and industrial production. On Wall Street, stocks rallied higher yesterday. The Dow rose 188, S&P gained 41, the Nasdaq added 168.
The Federal Trade Commission is accusing software maker Adobe of deceiving customers. In a new lawsuit, the FTC claims the maker of Acrobat, Photoshop, and other popular editing tools pushes customers towards pricey subscription plans while hiding early termination fees. Adobe says it is transparent with the terms and conditions of its subscription plans, adding the company will dispute the allegations in court.
The IRS has announced a new rule aimed at closing a major tax loophole for wealthy taxpayers. The rule would essentially end partnership basis shifting, which is when a business or person can move assets among a series of related parties to avoid paying taxes. The IRS says ending the loophole could raise more than $50 billion over the next decade.
Coming up next, NBA crowns its latest champion.
And they say everything's bigger in Texas, and that includes the Mets' run total last night. Otis has the highlights next in sports.
Plus, honored by the Yankees, why this Harvard grad being recognized for his hard work. That's coming up.
.521. Welcome back to CBS 2 News this Tuesday morning, June 18th. Not quite summer yet, but it sure feels that way. Let's get over to you, John, and the first alert forecast.
It's so close to summer. And you're right, Mary. It definitely feels like it. 71 delightful degrees right now. Thanks for spending some time with us each and every day. Your day today, 88. That'd be the hottest of the year so far. Stray thunderstorm possible north and west, you bet. But remember, 70s east. Upper 80s, feeling like 90 in the city. Temperatures hitting the low 90s. Those real feel numbers in the mid 90s. We're not alone. You have these heat advisories and warnings for the Great Lakes. But what's interesting is it's going to be 100 in Cincinnati for a real feel. It's going to be around 100 in Dallas. So it's going to be hot for the Mets. For the Yankees, not as bad today. Okay, just remember, you're in fine shape tonight. But remember, over the next few days, definitely going to be a hot one for their game Thursday afternoon. But yeah, just pace yourself and try to sit in the shade if you can. Back to you,
Johnny. Thank you so much. Let's get a check of your first alert traffic and check in with Guy Stanier. Hey, Guy.
Good morning, Chris. We're going to start in Brooklyn. A crash has one lane blocked on the northbound side of the BQE right near Atlantic Avenue. Delays are back onto the Gowanus Expressway. In Palisades Park, New Jersey, emergency construction involving a sinkhole has 2 lanes closed on the westbound side of Route 46, right between Grand Avenue and the Turnpike. We have some subway issues in Manhattan. The E-train running with delays in both directions due to a switch malfunction near Spring Street. Alternate side parking is suspended today for Eid al-Adha, but you still have to pay the meters. Chris and Mary, back to you.
Okay, Guy, thank you so much. In sports, surging Mets crediting their recent success to a fast food icon. They were in Texas last night to pay the Rangers.
And a new NBA champion has been crowned. Otis Livingston has your morning sports.
Good morning, everyone. Forget about Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, Brandon Nimmo, and Edwin Diaz. The Mets are attributing their current 5-game winning streak to the McDonald's character Grimace. That's right. Since the purple pitcher threw out that ceremonial first pitch for his birthday on June 12th, the Mets can't be beaten. They were on the road down in Arlington, jumping on Rangers starter John Gray early in the second. Rangers playing Francisco Lindor perfectly, but a big hop helps out the Mets. RBI single for Lindor. He went 4 for 4 last night. Everything may be bigger in Texas, but the Mets were using small ball to build an early 4-0 lead. The Mets' first 8 hits were singles, including 2 from Pete Alonso, each driving in a run. DJ Stewart wasn't about that single life. He crushes a 3-run home run. Mets score 6 in the second inning. In the fourth, Brandon Nimmo ends Gray's night, a 2-run home run. Mets with 22 hits last night. They pick up the big 14-2 win, their 6th straight. Thanks, Grimace. Well, maybe the Celtics just wanted to win the title on their own floor. That seems to be the only reason for that 38-point loss in Game 4 in Dallas. They were at home last night, and they weren't messing around. Opened up a 21-point lead at the half, capped off by Peyton Pritchard's 49-footer, his second such shot of the series. Mavericks never led in the game. Boston opened up a lead as large as 26 as 4 of the 5 starters put up double digits. In the fourth, Jason Tatum, who had a double-double, including a game-high 31, finishes it off. The Celtics win 106-88. They take the series 4-1, their NBA record 18th championship. Jaylen Brown was named the MVP. I'm Otis Livingston, and that's your CBS New York Sports Update.
Time now is 5:25. Talking about earning your degree. A Harvard Law grad was honored at Yankee Stadium yesterday.
It's part of the kickoff for the Yankees Hope Week. In 2016, Rayhan Staten worked as a trash collector, waking up at 3 a.m. for work to pay for his dream of attending Harvard Law School. While at Harvard, he started the Reciprocity Effect, honoring support staff at the university. Yesterday, the Yankees presented Staten with a check for $10,000 to help fund the nonprofit.
Being a family-owned organization, family environment, and reaching out into the community that we're a part of.
I'm just grateful, and I guess that's the best thing that I could say. I never thought I'd be here. Just be kind, put one foot in front of the other, and just try to see those around you.
Big congratulations to him. And by the way, he just accepted a job at the Paul Weiss Law Firm here in New York.
Congratulations. Nice job. Nice job. Harlem Globetrotters setting up shop in New Jersey for what they're building as the first ever sports residency. Partnering with the American Dream in East Rutherford, the 10-day residency will include 16 live games against their rivals, the Washington Generals. There will also be premium fan engagements, kids skills clinics, exclusive merchandise, and programs that celebrate the history of the renowned franchise. The games begin August 16th and run through August 25th. Really
Sounds
great
like
idea.
a lot of fun. Still ahead, a call for social media warning labels, why the U.S. Surgeon General believes they are necessary for your kids.
And the city cracking down on drivers, how they're using cameras to stop certain bad behaviors. You're watching CBS2 News this morning.
This is CBS2 News This Morning.
An active police presence this morning at the scene where a young teenager was sexually assaulted. We are live in Queens with what authorities are learning about a potential suspect. Plus,
outrage over a critical vote to raise the rent, what tenants will now have to pay to stay in their apartments.
Your First Alert team tracking hot and humid weather, how high temperatures could get as the city gears up for a heat wave.
Good morning on this Tuesday, June 18th. I'm Chris Raggi.
I'm Mary Calvey. Welcome to CBS 2 News this morning. We begin with John Elliott and your First Alert forecast, as well as the first heat wave of the season.
And it's important to remember that parts of the area, heat wave has already started. Newark hit 92 yesterday, so Edison, the heat wave has started for you, and it's going to be a longer duration event for our neighbors to the west. In the city right now, feels pretty good, 71, and we do get a break east of the city. The heat and humidity more pronounced and problematic to the west. You see that in that darker shade. That's the excessive heat watch. Possibility of those real feel numbers over 100 degrees. The heat advisory, that would be a 2-day period. That's coming up for part of the area. Already air quality suffering. This kicks in at 11. We will likely see this reissued every day because there's just nothing to clean up the air. Today, 88, that'd be the hottest we've been so far this year. In the city, Hot again Wednesday, hot again Thursday, sizzling sunshine Thursday and Friday. Just a real quick snapshot. Possibility of a stray shower or thunderstorm north and west. The really nasty weather well to the west. We'll talk more about that and check in with the weather watchers. Right now, though, I'm going to send it back to the desk.
John, thank you. Now to a developing story. Police say 10 protesters were arrested as the Rent Guidelines Board voted to increase rent for about 1 million apartments across the city.
Board members were heckled during last night's vote at Hunter College. CBS 2's Elijah Westbrook is live on the Upper East Side with more on this. Elijah?
Well, Chris and Mary, this morning, more than 2 million New Yorkers are being impacted by this vote. And those who we had the chance to speak to yesterday evening are not taking the news well at all. As you mentioned, police made several arrests for disorderly conduct as dozens of protesters, you see there, blocked the entrance to Hunter College, where the Rent Guidelines Board voted on these hikes. The decision impacts roughly 1 million rent-stabilized apartments throughout the city, leaving some residents unsure how they'll keep up with rent and daily expenses. But landlords we talked to say for them, there's no other way around it, as the increases are necessary to keep up with basic operating costs.
Without them, owners can't keep up with spiking insurance premiums, property taxes, mandates from City Hall that require things like reducing our carbon footprint and basic safety and livability requirements.
Now, the board voted 5-4 for a rent hike of 2.75% for stabilized apartments with 1-year leases and a 5.25% hike on 2-year leases. The Legal Aid Society is weighing in and saying that it's condemning last night's vote, adding that the move jeopardizes the housing stability of millions of New Yorkers. Public advocate Jumaane Williams said he's disappointed in the vote as well. Well, you'll hear from frustrated tenants in our next half hour and what this means for their bottom line. That is the latest this hour from the Upper East Side. Elijah Westbrook, CBS 2 News.
Elijah, thank you. Also developing this morning for the first time, we're getting a look at the man accused of sexually assaulting a child inside a Queens Park.
CBS 2's Christina Fan joins us live from Casino Park with a look at that video. Christina.
Well, Mary and Chris, for the last several days, we've only had a sketch to work off of, but last night, police finally were able to find an image of the suspect. The mobile command center you see behind us has been handing out these flyers throughout the community showing an image of the suspect's face. You can see that picture even clearer on your screen. That is the sexual assault suspect police are searching for, seen on a bicycle riding down a sidewalk. Police say Thursday afternoon, the man allegedly threatened 2 13-year-old kids with a machete-like knife in Casino Park, forcing them into a wooded area where he tied their wrists together with a shoelace before sexually assaulting the young girl. He then took their cell phones and left behind a shoelace and water bottle that forensic teams are still analyzing. Families say the wooded area of Casino Park has always been trouble and are asking for more police patrols and cameras. CBS 2 has learned as a result of this incident, cameras will be going up in and around this park. There is also a $10,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in this case. Investigators say no tip is too small. Reporting live from Flushing, Queens, Christina Fan, CBS 2 News.
Christina, thank you. Sentencing on Long Island for a Syosset man whose drunk driving crash killed a married couple. 33-year-old Sotirio Spanos pleaded guilty to aggravated vehicular homicide and manslaughter. The crash last August orphaned the daughters of Ismenia and Odala Serena. They asked the judge for the maximum sentence. The 15-year-old sobbed in court, saying, quote, "You've made my life miserable. You should be ashamed of your actions." While the 9-year-old told Spanos, quote, "Losing my parents has changed my whole entire life." The couple was driving home from dinner through Laurel Hollow when Spanos crossed into their lane and crashed head-on.
100 miles an hour along Northern Boulevard, fueled by anger and alcohol on a winding, curving road. Spanos drove his Acura MDX like it was a race car.
In 32 years of doing criminal defense, I don't think I've found somebody to be more remorseful and accepting of responsibility and sad for what occurred.
In sentencing him to 7 to 21 years, the judge called the harm Spanos caused unimaginable. Spanos, who offered a lengthy apology, asked for copies of all the victims' impact statements to reflect on while in prison.
Well, now to the war between Israel and Hamas. There are developments on several fronts to tell you about.
Israel's military has paused fighting along a crucial supply route in southern Gaza, and it says it plans to do the same every day as part of a tactical pause to increase the flow of desperately needed aid. The move comes as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dissolved his influential war cabinet that has been advising him on the conflict with Hamas. A staunch Netanyahu critic says the Israeli public is growing more impatient.
They think it is 8 months. It's too long. There's no clear victory. There's no decisive victory that can be announced.
As for that tactical pause, UNICEF says so far it has seen no more aid than usual entering Gaza.
Well, a new report found the City University of New York failed to respond to harassment on campus. The U.S. Department of Education investigated CUNY's response to anti-Semitic and anti-Palestinian harassment during protests over the Israel-Hamas war. It found the complaints were not adequately investigated. The university will now reopen those cases for more investigation. CUNY released a statement saying it's agreed to strengthen its training of diversity officers and conduct a campus climate survey.
The MTA is cracking down on cars that block bus lanes. The MTA rolled out its automatic camera enforcement program yesterday. It's been activated on more than 600 buses throughout Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, and Manhattan. Drivers will now receive warning notices if they're caught on camera violating bus stop rules. After 60 days, those warnings will become fines. Fines will range from $50 to $250.
Well, Boeing CEO will be on the hot seat today when he testifies before Congress. Dave Calhoun will appear before a Senate subcommittee to address complaints about the company's safety culture. This will be his first appearance before Congress since January's incident when a door plug blew off the side of a MAX 737 jet in mid-flight. In his prepared remarks, Calhoun is expected to tell Senate members that while the safety culture is far from perfect, it is moving in the right direction.
Should social media be treated the same as alcohol and tobacco? The U.S. Surgeon General is calling for warning labels for social media similar to what you see for cigarettes and alcoholic beverages. Dr. Vivek Murthy wants to alert parents about potential dangers for children. In a New York Times op-ed, the nation's top doc called the mental health crisis among young people an emergency, adding social media is a reason why.
Find ourselves in a unique and unusual situation. This youth mental health crisis that we are living through, with extraordinarily high rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide among young people, this has become the defining public health challenge of our time.
Congress would have to pass legislation to create warning labels, and it's not clear how quickly that might happen.
Probably not too quickly, given their track record. All right, coming up, a new medical tool that could help paramedics detect a stroke in their patients. What makes it so unique?
A couple of EMTs taking action and saving one man's life in New Jersey. The hero speaking out in the dramatic rescue.
Now you can get your CBS New York news, weather, and live stream all in one place on the CBS News app. Download it free today.
Welcome back to CBS2 News this morning. It's June 18th. A little look from the city from Hoboken. This week, millions of Americans will be in the grips of an early summer heat wave. What better time to hop on a cruise ship and then just sail right on out of here?
Yeah, do you think the morning buffet is open yet?
You know what? I think the buffet never closes.
That's true. You're right.
24/7 type thing. The Love Boat soon will be making another run.
Who are the celebrities on board this one? We'd love to know. Come on, a little bit closer in there. We want to see. But nice day to get out there and get on vacation. Or maybe they're coming into town. That'd be nice too. 4:52. Welcome to New York if you are. In our area, beaches and pools that normally would be closed this week will instead open to provide relief from the heat. And Westchester County Executive George Latimer ordered the parks to open Saxon Woods and Spring Ridge pools on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, along with Croton Point Beach on the Hudson River and Glen Island Beach on the Long Island Sound. The beaches and pools will open during the hottest part of the day. That's from 1 p.m. to 6:30. Visitors must reside in the county or be accompanied by a Westchester resident.
Well, and in New Jersey, Bergen County opening 4 cooling centers, and they are open today through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're located at the County Administration Building, the Garfield, Northwest Bergen, and the Southwest Bergen Senior Activity Center. Residents can also go to libraries and other public spaces to escape the heat. Now let's send things over to John Elliott, who's got your first alert forecast. And the weather watchers are chiming in this morning. Hey, John.
They are, and the weather watchers are timing their day, and that's kind of instructive for you. First off, numbers pretty mild all the way up into the Hudson Valley, and look at this. Some relief, a little better out on the island. I like what Ron's doing, so Ron has a tee time at 7 a.m. Yeah, you play early, and then you beat the heat of the day. Yesterday, I went running at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I will not do that today. Some pictures. So remember, with your air conditioning, you know what? You can ride it up a little bit. You still get the relief, but it helps out the power grid and helps you out with the do-re-mi. Appreciate this. It is International Sushi Day. I'll let you decide. It's Heat Wave, Martha and the Vandellas. I love that. And this, I think, is how most of us feel. That's just an adorable picture. And that's what some of you may be doing this afternoon, and that's fine, too, unless you can hook up with Elisa. Look at this, Fire Island. Oh, that's the place to be. Number one, temperatures are going to be cooler. Feels better. It's so pretty. But remember, we've got moderate rip current risk again, so make sure that you're ready for that. Not only for Fire Island, but for the beautiful beaches of the Jersey Shore. So, buddy system, and look at the temperatures, mid-70s, and it's going to feel like the mid-90s in interior sections of the Hudson Valley and in New Jersey. Ocean temperature, a refreshing 65 to 74. Rip current risk, moderate, UV high. Again, it's summer. You know, the solstice is 2 days away, so the sun is right on top of us. UV index is a 10. Make sure you're ready for that. Air quality suffering, yeah, we're going to see day after day of air quality alerts, and pollen's high too, so you have a lot going against you. These alerts for air quality kick in around 11. Same cycle, atmosphere just gets stacked and stagnant. That's why it's hard for anybody with respiratory distress and the very young and very old. And the darker shade here, that's where we could see those real feel numbers at 105 plus for a couple of hours. Again, this is percolating. This is intensifying. It's a duration event. We talk about a heat wave being 3 days at 90 or 90 plus, but remember, the last one in the city was back in September 2023. Parts of our area, it started yesterday. You had highs in the low 90s, and you're going to see more of the same. Stray shower possible, north and west. Yes, well north and west. Other big stories, we have severe weather for parts of the western lakes, and we have a tropical cyclone that could bring in a foot of rain for parts of South Texas. I know. And the firefight continues out west. It's a very dynamic and challenging weather week, coast to coast. 88 in the city today. That would be the hottest we've been so far. And remember, parts of the area, you're going to have real feel numbers in the mid-90s today. We're feeling it, and it's over the next few days. And even though we have a better chance for storms later Friday into Saturday, we don't really break the heat. We're still going to be above normal into the first part of
Those are just like the hot, humid thunderstorms, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the ones that bring no relief.
Oh,
they're
boy.
just annoying. They're loud. You're wet.
Got to
you're
run out of the
sweating,
pool.
And then you're getting,
because
exactly.
All right, John, thanks. Let's get a check of your first alert traffic. Bring in Guy Stanier. Hey, Guy.
Good morning, Chris. We're going to start in New Rochelle. Construction has 2 lanes closed on the southbound side of the New England Thruway, right at North Avenue. Delays are back to Chatsworth Avenue. Stick with the hutch for a smoother ride. In Palisades Park, New Jersey, emergency construction involving a sinkhole has 2 lanes closed on the westbound side of Route 46 between Grand Avenue and the Turnpike. And taking a live look outside at the Pulaski Skyway, we have a crash that is 1 lane closed on the eastbound side approaching Broadway. Delays are back to the Turnpike. Alternate side parking is suspended today for Eid al-Adha, but you still have to pay the meters. Chris and Mary, back to you.
Okay, Guy, thank you. In your Health Watch this morning, a new study from Tufts University shows the number of Americans eating poorly remains very high. Researchers, however, did find some improvements over the past 20 years, with the consumption of nuts, whole grains, and proteins rising. Gains in dietary quality were highest among younger adults.
A new study finds young children have trouble getting to sleep because of anxiety. Researchers from C.S. Mott Children's Hospital at the University of Michigan Health found 1 in 4 parents say their child struggles to fall asleep because of worry. Over 1/3 of parents reported their child doesn't stay asleep throughout the night and often or occasionally wakes up upset or crying. Almost half reported their children move to the parents' bed on some some or most nights. Experts recommend sticking to a consistent bedtime routine and limiting media use at night.
Yes, easier said than done. A new smartphone face screening tool could help paramedics identify stroke in seconds. Researchers in Australia are using AI to develop new software they believe will save lives and reduce the risk of long-term disability for stroke patients. The technology uses the power of facial expression recognition to detect stroke by analyzing facial symmetry and specific muscle movements.
Gordon Ramsay is known for sharing restaurant kitchen advice, but now he has a warning for everyone: wear a helmet. In a video posted on social media, the celebrity chef, showed off a severe bruise on his abdomen he sustained during what he called a life-threatening bike accident in Connecticut last week. He also shared photos of what his helmet looked like before and then after the accident. Ramsay said wearing that helmet saved his life. The famed TV chef said he's doing well thanks to doctors and nurses at Lawrence Memorial Hospital in New London who cared for him. But boy, that looks like it hurts.
Did he get hit by a bus? Jeez. All right, a man who nearly died in his New Jersey home is reunited with the heroes who saved his life. 34-year-old Sunmin Park shook the hands of the 3 EMTs and 2 Secaucus police officers who came to his rescue when he went into cardiac arrest last month. Police say in minutes the first responders arrived, performed CPR and used a defibrillator. His pulse came back and he regained consciousness before he got to the hospital. Yesterday the heroes were recognized with Lifesaver Awards at Hudson Regional Hospital.
He had to push the door open. He was lying behind the door in full respiratory arrest.
Start working as soon as possible, which was incredibly important.
We did the best we could. Teamwork makes the dream work.
I'm really thankful. I don't know how to thank you guys, how that they saved my life. Never gonna forget.
Park says he's feeling better and now has a pacemaker. Good team, good dream, right?
Yeah, look at that family. Young dad, too. Thank goodness.
Lucky to be alive.
Oof. Up next, so are landlines finally phasing out? A new survey reveals how many people still use them.
And forced to rely on their cars because public transportation is so far away. Why commuters in one part of Brooklyn are saying that now is the perfect chance for the city to find new options.
Been playing out a lot of hypotheticals in my mind. I've been writing your name down next to mine. Been imagining all the things you and I could do.
Welcome back to CBS 2 News. It's Tuesday morning as we look into Lake Street Dive and some hypotheticals. And John's been telling us about those too in the first alert forecast when we're talking about temperatures like this. So how hot is it really going to feel?
Well, it really is hypothetical. But when these numbers verify, you got to realize that, yeah, it takes a toll on your body. So hypothetically, yeah, we could see real feel numbers between 95 and 105 by the end of the work week. Heat advisories kick in today. So temperatures, this is the day-to-day comparison, anywhere from maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 to 10 to 15 degrees hotter right now. Dew points are up right now. So later today, hypothetically, when you do the math, it's going to feel like 98 in Parsippany. So you're driving out to Dover, you're heading up to Sparta, down into Livingston, Roseland, all the way up into Nyack, points north. It's going to feel like 95 to 98 today. Feels like 92 in the city, and the humidity stays high. There's nothing really to break it. So that's why we're concerned about your safety and your comfort, and then also the stress on the power grid. Do what you can to keep yourself cool and safe, but also maybe take the AC up a bit or use a cooling center. It's dry here, it's quiet here. Our best chance for rain is probably going to be later Thursday and then Friday, Saturday, those afternoon storms. Back to you, Dan.
Okay, Johnny, thank you so much. Some residents of Canarsie, Brooklyn are breathing a sigh of relief over Governor Hochul's pause on congestion pricing. Jabril Jallo is the founder of a nonprofit called the Flossie Organization, which advocates for transit equity. He says that part of Brooklyn is a transit desert. Jallo says Canarsie residents aren't against the idea of congestion pricing, but it doesn't make sense for their community. They say it's a chance for leaders to go back to the drawing board to improve transit options for people who live in car-centric areas.
It's almost impossible to get somewhere in an efficient manner without having a car in these parts of Brooklyn. Folks know Canarsie as being far, so growing up, we just knew that everywhere we wanted to go, it took a long time to get there.
One of the solutions they've been pushing for years is a ferry from Canarsie Pier. They say it could be a more cost-effective investment than expanding subway service, but the Economic Development Corporation, which runs the New York City ferry, says it is not looking to expand service at the moment.
More Americans are ditching their landline phones. A newly released CDC survey completed last year shows that less than 1 in 4 Americans still have landlines at home. In fact, 76% of Americans say they're wireless-only households. That's up from 68% 2 years prior. Only 22% of adults say they have both a cell phone and a landline at home.
You know, it's pretty incredible. Like, my cord for my phone now can reach 2 rooms, so I can walk like into the diner. It's great. So I'm not giving it up. After thousands of votes, there is a new read for the CBS New York Book Club.
We asked you to choose from one of our top 3 fic picks, The Next Mrs. Parrish, All the Summers in Between, or The Winner, and you selected The Next Mrs. Parrish by Liv Constantine as your reader's choice. It is a sequel to their bestseller, The Last Mrs. Parrish. It picks up where Jackson Parrish, about to release from prison, and Amber and Daphne about to face off again as another woman enters the drama. The book is being released today. You can get your copy. Read along with us over the next 4 weeks. We're going to have a mid-read read up, and then we're also going to have our virtual book club meetup as well, where you get to ask the author the questions. So we're really looking forward to this one. It's a great summer read, too.
Like the cover, too.
Still ahead, a red alert for tomorrow as a heat wave moves into our area.
Which areas will see dangerous triple-digit temperatures?
And tenants speaking out in protest against the rent hike vote. How many New Yorkers are now racing to find funds to avoid eviction? You're watching CBS 2 News this morning.